Attention! This podcast is as delicate as a bull in a china shop. Listener discretion is advised. Your episode begins in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, my dear friends, to the 28th episode of the Lusty Library podcast. If you've ever fancied yourself a Victorian Gothic feminist, then this, my dearest companion, is the episode for you. And since I can't keep that up the whole time...
Fucking thank God. Thank God you were reading because my eyes were rolling so hard. I'm shocked they didn't roll across the fucking table.
I was watching you. It was so good.
I'm sure our sexy stud, who is actually British, is going to have notes for me on my accent. I wasn't really going full British on that, but I'll just talk in my normal voice to tell you that if you are a return listener, thank you for being amazing and writing us a review and rating us on your favorite podcast platform. Oh, wait. You haven't done that, have you? You're so naughty. Go write us a review, god damn it, and then come on back. And if this is your first time listening to us, thanks for coming out. If you're struggling to understand what we do here, I'll put it simply. There are 3 of us who take turns hosting. The host picks a romance novel that none of us have read before, and then we sit down together with a cocktail, a recording setup, and let it loose. If you're wondering with whom you are speaking, this is your dirty dame, Birdie. I will be your host today. We also have with us our dirty dame, Joey.
The smartest person in the room. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fuck that.
Right, okay. We also have our dirty dame, Lexx.
The snidest person in the room.
That might be true. Today we're talking about the deep, dark, feminist, rage-fueled Hungerstone.
Oh, this episode's gonna be a fucking doozy, folks.
By Kat Dunn. Let me read you a brief summary. For what do you hunger, Lenore? Lenore is the wife of steel magnate Henry, but 10 years into their marriage, the relationship has soured and no child has arrived to fill the distance growing between them. Henry's ambitions take them out of London and to the imposing Nethershaw Manor in the countryside, where Henry aims to host a hunt with society's finest. Lenore keeps a terrible secret from the last time her husband hunted, and though they never speak of it, it haunts their marriage to this day. The preparations for the event take a turn when a carriage accident near their remote home brings the mysterious Carmilla into Lenore's life. Carmilla, who is weak and pale during the day, but vibrant at night. Carmilla, who stirs up a hunger deep within Lenore. Soon, girls from local villages begin to fall sick before being consumed by a bloody hunger. Torn between regaining her husband's affection and Carmilla's ever-growing presence, Lenore begins to unravel her past, and in doing so, uncovers a darkness in her household that will place her at terrible risk.
Holy schnuckers. This is one meaty book.
This is the first book for the podcast that scratches the Victorian allegorical itch that I have had for so long. I am such a fucking nerd for this.
It's funny because I started reading it. I'm like, oh, this is hitting on all cylinders for Birdie.
Oh, my God, yeah. All right, I think it's time for a confession.
Okay.
You hated it.
We will talk about how I felt about the book.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, historical is not my jam.
I mean,
it doesn't matter if it's Victorian or Regents. I really think it takes a great author to get me captivated in this.
Uh-huh.
So I think once you hear what I have to say about the book, you'll understand the depth of it. If you look at what I've read on Goodreads, this is maybe my 4th or 5th out of 1,076 romance novels that is historical of any way, shape, or form. I watched one season of Bridgerton and then I was like, okay,
Oh
it's
my
done.
God. Oh my God.
It doesn't captivate me. There's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, it's like everything I've tried to get you to
I
watch,
know.
like movies that are period pieces. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking like far, far back, like stuff that takes place in the 20s. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
And the way you talk about some of Jane Austen's novels, like
Mhm.
she is hardcore quintessential romance. Like you would think I would be eating those up.
Oh, I love the day I gave you like a synopsis of Jane Eyre, but it didn't make it like fluffy. I just
Yeah.
did it like as a bullet point and all the tropes. Oh, well, you get grumpy sunshine and age gap and this
Right.
and that.
Right.
You're like, that sounds really good, actually.
Yeah. This is a very interesting book for us to read also in the context of this podcast because this is a romance novel podcast. And the sub-summary of this book, the little one-liner is, Hungerstone is a thrillingly seductive sapphic romance. Well, it's a lesbian romance.
Mhm.
I just wanted to put this in context for everybody. We chose this book because it's labeled as a romance.
Yeah.
But I think we might find by the end, when we all really have to assign a numerical value to this, was it a romance? To be determined.
And I feel like it's absolutely the flavor that she was writing for. I feel like the author wrote like it was supposed to be written in the late 1800s.
Mhm.
Yes.
The sex is about as sexy as you would think of reading Bronte and Shelley.
It gave you way more than that.
Yeah.
Obviously, compared to some of the books that we've read this season, it was like a
But I also think it shows the evolution of how romance has changed. This book is set in 1888.
right.
Which is very different than how relationships and romance are seen today
Mhm.
Yes.
versus 150 years ago.
The writing of this book, though, immediately, it was so much easier for me to follow than any Austen or Bronte I've ever read. The words were very descriptive and very fun, but they were very carefully chosen, I feel,
Mm.
so that the reading of this book was very smooth, very easy to follow. I could listen to it without wondering, wait, what was she trying to say there? Because there were so many words that were phrased backwards, like how they used to phrase things back in the day, that makes it very hard to read some of those books. So I had a really great time listening to this. Big shout out to Perdita Weeks, who's the narrator. Holy shit, she was wonderful.
Yeah, you're in love with her.
I am absolutely in love with her. I thought she was amazing. She added so much atmosphere
Mhm.
to the book, far more than I ever would have gotten reading it myself. I do know also that there are 2 covers for this book.
Oh.
And the one that I really liked is the one with the green writing on the front and the woman with her hand over her forehead tossed over a bedside. Excellent. Really loved the cover. Modern. It embodied the exact feeling of the writing. 10 out of 10. Joey snoring over here. There's
Huh? What? What? Huh?
there's no hot man on the cover for Joey.
Well, there wouldn't be a hot man on the cover
No,
anyway.
this is a sapphic romance.
I know.
I mean, we do have Henry in it, who's supposed to be very attractive, but
Right.
he's such a fucking dick that it doesn't matter.
Dick.
He was a douche canoe.
Yeah. I actually wrote douche canoe.
Which probably 1888 is when the word douche canoe was being used, right?
Very, very late Victorian period, absolutely.
Oh my God. So we meet our FMC, Lenore. Love that name so much. When she and Henry are 10 years into their childless marriage, which you understand immediately if you know anything about that era that this is bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think it's bad now, too. So.
Yeah, well, it's true, but especially back then. This was always a marriage of utility for
Mhm.
them. They went into it very clear. He needed aristocracy. She needed money.
She had the name and the title.
Right. But here they are, sleeping in separate rooms, feeling nothing for each other.
I think she felt for him. She did grow to love him in some way.
They both ended up, I think, at one point in time, kind of loving each other.
Well, I think she was just looking to be loved.
Right.
Well, that's true.
I don't think it was particularly that she was in love with Henry. I just think she was starved for affection.
Mhm.
So what little pieces he doled out, that's what she was eating up. I don't think she knew that she wasn't in love until she hit something that hit her in the feels much differently.
That's true. The opening scene, I absolutely adore. She is awake in the middle of the night. She thinks she sees a dark shadow moving in the corner of her room. It sits upon her chest like a great dark cat and licks and then bites at her neck. 2 pinpricks. At which point in time, she's frozen. She's unable to move. And then when she tries to scream, the cat jumps off but turns into a woman standing with long dark hair at the end of her bed, covered in blood from her chin to her toes. At this point, she wakes up frantic, feeling around. There's no mark on her neck. There's no blood. She assumes it was all a dream. So this sets the stage for the world that we're in immediately. And it's very dramatic, very atmospheric. And then we launch into the actual story. We find out they're about to move from their London home to this great estate out in the moors of England, which I was shocked to learn is spelled Nethershaw.
Yeah.
S-H-A-W, because listening to Perdita read it, Nethershaw. Never seeing it written down, I thought it was Nethershore. I completely read it wrong and had this conception about like where the name might have come from and then was totally blown away. So they're going to move out to Nethershaw Manor so that Henry can be closer to the steelworks that he owns out in Sheffield, England. Did either of you already know about Sheffield Steel going into this?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a feeling you would.
His factory produces cutlery, and that's a lot of what the business was at the time. Just had a thought. I'm like, isn't Sheffield where the custom scissor maker that currently is today that I just sent you
Yes,
a thing from Instagram was
it is.
from?
It is. Sheffield Steel is still a thing.
Yeah.
I ended up doing a ton of research.
You?
Me? Never. Joey is like, when is this class over so I can go back to bed?
I really should have brought a fucking pillow. I thought this episode was gonna go in a completely different direction.
There's still time, Joey. There's still time.
I'm holding out for hope here.
But I loved the way that Kat Dunn did all the research for this novel. It was incredible. You can tell just reading it, like the details are so rich. The food, the place that they're in, the taste of the air that they're breathing, the look of the buildings, her understanding of the steelworks and how it operates and the tools that are inside it, the costumes, the colors of things. It was so rich.
The type of dress that they wear throughout the day, depending on what the activity is that they're doing.
Oh my gosh.
It's super detailed.
She did a ton of research, and it made me want to go on a trip to England. They're moving out to this great estate from their home in London.
So on the journey to the manor, while Lenore was ready to get on the train, she's accosted by someone. Which, at this time period, gentlemen didn't just suddenly get up and talk to a lady that was not been introduced to. She didn't know who he was. And turns out he's a journalist. He starts asking questions about her husband. And then Henry comes up and is real pissed off. He gets Lenore out of the way pretty quickly because he doesn't want her to hear anything. But what she heard was there's some questions about the safety in Henry's factories and compensation towards the workers. So there's a whole thing with Henry's business going on. They get off the train station.
The weather's pretty shitty.
And she's like, can we get a hotel? And Henry was like, there is not a hotel worth our money here. We're just going to press on, get in the carriage. We're going. They really shouldn't have been on the road because it was too dangerous.
Yeah. And on the way, they see a carriage accident.
Lenore is immediately thrust back into her memories because she became an orphan from a carriage accident.
And all of this holding back her emotions so that Henry doesn't think she's weak come crumbling down. And she ends up fainting at the sight of this woman in the carriage covered in blood. The next morning, she wakes in this new home.
Yeah.
She's never been there. She's looked at the floor plans. She's looked at drawings of it.
Yeah, that blew my mind. We've got Redfin and whatever nowadays.
Right.
Can you imagine buying a huge estate just from a couple of drawings?
I know, right?
I know. It's crazy. So she wakes up the next morning and she's just like, okay, wow, where the hell am I? And okay, what happened to the woman? She learns that this woman is Carmela Kernstein. And she immediately, because she's this kind of upper class snooty lady, does research to figure out where her family comes from. And she can't find her anywhere in any of the books.
Because they keep these books around. It's the Book of Peerage. And if your family's name's not in it, you mustn't be from the right set.
The doctor is coming to inspect Carmilla, and we find that, no, she's very ill. There's a problem with her heart, and she needs some bed rest. Oh, I love this way of speaking. I'm sure, being that you're such a wonderful hostess, that you would take care of a guest. The doctor is just like, you're going to keep her here, right? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Who would do this? This is so Victorian.
Yep.
God forbid they be so rude as to cast someone out. It's their fucking house. Why would this woman stay here? But no, we are in 1888.
Yeah.
So they keep this unknown woman in their house.
They don't know where she's from. She looks like she's a woman of standing.
Yes.
And they know her first and last name. That is everything they know about her.
Right. She looks like she was of good breeding.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Can you imagine being so judged by your appearance?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Oh my God, the pressure's on. Eventually, she slowly starts to come out of her room and make her presence known amongst Lenore and Henry as they're going about their business in their house. We learn that Carmilla is nothing like anyone Lenore has ever met in her whole life. She gets what she wants. She asks. She takes. She has very strange outlook on things. And I think one of the moments that I thought was a really interesting turning point where we really learn what she's all about and what she's trying to get Lenore towards. She's basically demanded that they sit by the fire together and play games and have some drinks and whatever. And she says to her, "Who told you not to dream?" I think that was the moment where Lenore was like, oh my God. I can dream. I can have these thoughts. And this is just earth-shattering for them.
Because for that time, you acted based on your social standings. There were rules that you had to abide by when you were a lord or a lady or anyone high in the social standings.
Any standing, really.
Right. Carmilla didn't have any social standing. She got to do what she wanted to do. And she was a woman that had strength and was empowered. And that's the lesson she taught Lenore.
Did you like her?
Carmilla? Oh, yeah. She was shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
I loved the things that she was saying, but also in a way, sometimes I felt like she was being a bit bossy to Lenore.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Being controlled by Henry to then being controlled by Carmilla. Even though Carmilla was doing it as a tough love sort of situation.
Yeah.
I still was like, oh, okay, this dynamic is now a little weird and fucked up.
So strange.
But I don't think Lenore would have been able to push through any of it without somebody full-fledged shoving her.
Right.
She needed a very heavy hand to lead her as far as she needed to go to get to where she ended up being.
To me, Lenore was a little wishy-washy. Once Carmilla was steering her in one direction, she would always bring up hearing Carmilla in her head. What would Carmilla want me to do? How would Carmilla want me to react to it? So I think she was an influence. It happened to be that Carmilla was an influence for the positive.
Was she?
I absolutely, well, there's a lot of layers in this book that I have questions that hopefully the two of you have answers for.
I don't know if I want to truly spoil the whole book for people.
Oh, no, but once we're done recording, I need a debrief.
Kind of moving along. They're going through these days, and you know how it is. Well, I'm speaking to people as though they've watched Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice or Bridgerton, all of the BBC stuff, where it's like, what do you do with your days? You draw, you play piano, you do needlepoint, you go for walks in the sunshine, but not too much sunshine.
Lenore's trying to rehab this enormous mansion that is falling apart and has been disarray for decades.
She has 2.5 weeks to do it.
Right.
Because her husband, Henry, Lord Douche-Canoe, is throwing a freaking hunting party.
Which means having half a dozen guests. They're going to come with themselves, all of their valet and their lady's maid.
I believe she mentioned at one point it's going to be 18 total, including her and Henry.
Guests. But yeah, all the people that come with that.
Right.
And so she's got to have enough guest rooms for them, and they have to all be redone and cleaned up. And when we say rehab, like the roof is leaking. There's mold in the walls. I mean,
they're not on the gas, so there is no gas line going in.
I love that. They're not on the gas.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, those were some details that I had to go look up in that, like, Henry's so well off and is so successful in business that he has a telephone. And I was like, were telephones in consumer use at that point in time? So I had to go look that up. And it was like, oh, they're riding this kind of train. I'm like, were the trains going that far at this time?
No, they were not. And Kat owns that.
Yes.
That train station was not in that town at that point in time. She moved it up a little bit, but it was close enough. But
she's like, I had to do it. Sorry.
Right. I know. Because it just seemed preposterous to travel that far. But I just love that she owned it in her statement at the end of the book, too. So
all this stuff that the two of you are bringing up that you stopped in the middle of the book to Google, I was like, I don't give a fuck.
I know.
You're telling me this. This is what I'm going for.
I know.
Such a different experience. Like, I'm immersed in the story that you're telling me. The two of you are like stopping and researching in the middle of it to be like, is this factual? I understand that you like details, but I am letting the author give me the details. I am not going to Wikipedia to see if this detail is factual.
Oh, you never go to Wikipedia.
I'm just saying.
Can I just tell you how many land surveys of Hungerstone Manor I've looked at? And
you're funny.
How many drawings of the original estate that the original book Carmilla was inspired by, sitting on this limestone cliff. Guys, I went so deep. This is the book I've been waiting for. If anyone was wondering what kind of nerd I am, this is it. Historical fiction is my fucking jam because I love to know what was real and what did the author take license on. And I love to pick it apart.
It's not that they can't take license. It's just knowing what did they pick and choose.
Right.
I love you both, but I think this is over. Okay. It's not you. It's completely me. But I really need different friends.
I know.
I am learning way too many idiosyncrasies about the two of you.
You can't possibly begin to tell me that you're shocked to hear any of this.
Shocked isn't the word that I would probably want to use because I know the two of you give a shit about words. It's more the neuroses that occur. So I know you do these things, but the level they're being done at kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Listen, if I could go back to school for historic preservation right now, I would. This book gave me so much juicy details. To quote this book fed my hunger. It was so good. Lenore was being a general contractor. She was being an event manager. She was being a project manager. She was being a head chef.
She was being a wife in 1888. That's what a wife did.
She was being a landed wife.
Yes, and that's where I have been a nerd since a child, because I always thought to myself, I would have been so fucking good at that. Oh my God, I would just love for my whole fucking life to be hosting parties and inventing the themes. And oh my God, like she's walking around this estate to like assess the grounds, and she finds this old chapel and she's like, oh, I wonder if our guests would like to have a historical dinner in here. That,
That's cute, yeah.
Oh my God, I would love to host a historical dinner. I was like, please do that, Lenore, please. And then she didn't do that because, gosh, the stucco was really messed up in the ceiling and she just couldn't possibly have people in that space. God, I was disappointed about that one, but I digress.
So I think I'm just going to step away. If you guys can just text me when you're getting to the rating area of this episode, I'll just come back. I'm going to go make another cocktail.
When Lenore got to the manor, there was lots of correspondence from Cora. That's another little piece because they were friends back in town, meaning London.
Cora's about 10 years younger than she is.
Yeah.
So she's in her 20s.
I think Lenore kind of just puts up with her because Cora is popular and has decided that Lenore is sort of like a mentor, an older friend. Lenore's smart enough to know, hitch myself to this star because to be on her bad side would upset my standing in society. So when Cora shows up a few days later, uninvited.
So supposedly Cora was in town to visit with another family. And Henry had heard from this family that Cora was going to be there. Henry picks Cora up in the carriage and brings her to the estate.
There is some propriety that is misplaced during this process, and it rubs Lenore the wrong way.
Because nobody told her. Cora was not invited by Lenore, who is the head of household when you think about it.
The female element, which is the crucial part of this, I think, that now Henry has brought Cora home with him.
Yeah, no.
Like,
That would have had tongues wagging.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Henry hasn't fucked Lenore in a year. So it's been a long time of coldness between them. So she's already got her hackles up about this. And I just loved the way that Carmilla immediately sees through it.
Yeah, she's like, do you think they're fucking?
Yeah.
For a woman of that time period to actually use the word fucking.
Right.
Like, woo!
Yeah. There's also this element of Lenore being rather ill for months, it seems. She has to be cared for during this time. It's seen as proper to care for someone when they're sick. There's lots of discussion about who's going to care for her and sit by her bed and make sure she's okay. Carmilla ends up being her caretaker. And Lenore is very torn by this because she doesn't understand how she feels about Carmilla, because Carmilla is so shocking to her and so offensive and bossy and strange, and she feels like she shouldn't be near her, but she also feels this weird affinity towards her and this weird attraction to her at the same time. She says at one point, like, what does this care mean? What must I give up if I accept it? And she can't possibly fathom that somebody would want to care for her just because they really liked her.
Yeah.
Well, her husband was nowhere to be seen. Well, she was violently ill. She was bedridden when she was sick during this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Her supposed best friend, Cora, only comes to check on her because, God forbid, she catch whatever Lenore has.
Oh, yes.
And here's Carmilla, this stranger that she has known for only a week, who is laying in bed with her, caring for her. That's not something she was ever used to. She never had anyone to care for her.
During their time spent at the house over these few days, it's wild that so much happens in a few days because it's only 2.5 weeks from when they come from London to the shooting party that Henry has requested Lenore plan for him. It's the whole book. So it feels like a long time. There's been a lot of development happening in probably what is just 48 hours, if that. So at one point, Henry comes into Lenore's bed and he proceeds to fuck her for the first time in forever. And at that point, Lenore has already started to have these very shocking feelings towards Carmilla that she's in very much denial of, but they're there and she's recognizing it in her subconscious. To have this happen, she's just like, what the fuck?
When he did it, I thought he got into the wrong bed because Cora's staying in the house too.
Funny, yeah.
And I thought he was drunk because he'd go into the study and go drink brandy or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought he got into the wrong bed, and then it was like, no, he got into the right bed.
Yep.
This is not sexy sex, though, that's for sure.
Nope. Not sexy at all. So cold. At one point, though, he did ask her, like, oh, do you like that? And he's touching her. She lies, and she basically says yes when she's not really getting what she wants, which I disliked in a big way.
She talks about his hands on her and how they're like rough. And she's like, my own hands ministrate better to myself than his do. It's like, oof, oof.
After the situation happens with Henry, she easily realizes that Henry is using this as a manipulation tactic. Because Henry thinks this is what Lenore wants, and he wants something out of her. So he's going to lay with her, make it all better, to make her malleable to his desires.
Absolutely. So later that night, the cat comes to visit her again. And she wakes up and Henry's in the bed at that point in time. This time, when the cat visits her, she has this feeling and she knows that it's Carmilla. She has no proof, but she just knows. And the cat is licking her on her neck and she screams or something when she gets bitten. And the cat jumps off and goes away.
Yep.
But she wakes up and she's just like, I know it. Something is wrong. Carmilla is gone. She wakes Henry up and they proceed to burn every candle. She had already rationed candles, so this was a big deal to use all these candles in the middle of the night to go looking for Carmilla. And they don't find her anywhere. At this point, all the staff are like, we've kind of seen her like out in the middle of the night before. She's kind of a weirdo. Like,
opening doors, walking around the grounds outside, going to the moors.
Like, there's something going on with your house guest here. Whispers are happening that Carmilla is a strange duck.
Yep.
Lenore finds Carmilla back in her fucking room, like nothing had happened at all.
First of all, when they were looking for Carmilla, they went to her room and the door was locked.
Oh, right.
Henry had to break the door down and Carmilla wasn't there and the window wasn't broken.
Carmilla is back in her room that was previously locked. Like nothing ever happened but muddy feet.
Muddy bottom of her dress.
Right. But she's totally acting like no big deal. At this point, Lenore is just kind of like, okay, listen, I'm clearly fucking attached to you for whatever fucking reason. She hasn't quite figured it out yet, but she's relieved to have found her. And she's like, God damn it, who are you? What are you? Because I'm fucking invested now. And Carmilla's response I really liked. And she said, I am a mirror to those who need it, to those who hunger but deny themselves. Totally different from the vampire lore we're used to. I never read the original Carmilla, but I've read a lot of vampire shit. I've watched a lot of vampire television as well. And this book had so little of the more modern vampire lore. It always kept me interested. There's lots of interesting subplots happening.
There's a lot of strange happenings. So you ask yourself, is it Carmilla influence to these oddities or is it the house?
Oh, that's interesting.
That maybe there was something going on at the estate, in the house. We begin with the situation where they had to let one of the house workers go.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the middle of the night, she ate 4 meat pies while on her knees. And she kept saying, I was oh so hungry.
Yeah.
Lenore finds her lady's maid Molly one morning in Carmilla's room, down on her knees with Carmilla's brush in her hand, eating Carmilla's hair.
Oof, so strange.
The workers are fixing things in the house, but it seems that as much as they fix, something else is breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. little girls eating chicken heads raw and wives consuming parts of their husbands' bodies and the maid eating the thing and that hair. And
think about it. They have a hunger for blood.
oh, I guess so. It's a hunger for blood.
Then they can't identify it. Throughout this entire book, Lenore, even though she ravages on plates and plates of food, that hunger never goes away because what she's actually hungering for is never being satiated.
Yeah.
It's the only way I could relate it to. The hair I didn't get, the meat pie, meat, blood. Yes. The guy's arm, blood. The chicken, blood. If you're reading this book, you're like, what is Carmilla? I don't think vampire ever came into my head if you didn't put it in the summary.
Yeah,
Right.
Samesies.
Right.
More just mystical creature that's feeding on unexpressed wants, passions, and desires.
This is very different from all the books we've read in this podcast where we have this representation of feminism and getting freed from patriarchal society.
In a time where women were overly suppressed.
Right. The load of the mental labor that Lenore was carrying borderline gave me a panic attack. Like the pressure that was on her to have everything done, and Henry kept picking at her to get it done in a certain way and being a douche canoe about it. Oh my gosh.
Everything she did was to make her husband happy,
Yes.
to bring up his standing. And Carmilla is saying, what are you doing for you? What about your wants? What about your needs? When Carmilla confronted Lenore about it, Lenore was like, I'm flummoxed. My face grows hot, and for some reason I cannot comprehend. I think I may cry. Because it is bad. Are we not taught that as children? If I have made someone angry, then I have done something wrong. We should endeavor to bring happiness into the lives of those around us. Carmilla yawns. That is quite boring. What of bringing happiness to yourself?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's a good summary of their two perspectives. Yeah.
I love that empowerment approach from Carmilla. That is just very loud for this time frame.
Totally.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I loved that so much.
You say to yourself, well, how does everybody else feel about Carmilla? Henry wanted her gone a week and a half ago. Lenore in the beginning wanted her gone. She's like, I am the lady of this home. This is my home. You come in and act like this is yours.
She's wearing Lenore's clothes. She's demanding things of the staff, like my bed sheets are too rough.
She's critiquing all the food, like everything in that home is lowbrow. But then slowly Lenore starts to change her tune as she starts to feel connected to her, to the point where she is defending Carmilla when Henry wants her gone.
Yeah.
Henry's like, didn't you see the way she was looking at me at dinner? And Lenore's like, she's my companion. She's staying.
Yeah.
So for her to stand up for Carmilla was huge.
She clearly is learning how to stand up for herself from Carmilla. In the midst of all of this, Lenore is starting to get more and more little inklings that Henry and Cora are sleeping together. She keeps seeing them talking and whispering and standing too close to each other. And it starts getting really sketchy. So she's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to find a way to get them both out of the house at the same time. Oh, weren't you going to be driving into town? Cora needs to go into town. Take her into town with you. So she gets them both out of the house and she goes into his room and she starts digging around, trying to find some proof of his infidelity.
When they first moved in, she went in to clean his room. Somewhere in the closet was hidden a box with a diamond necklace in there.
Yeah.
And Lenore's like, this is my surprise for our 10-year anniversary. He does care about me. He's trying to rekindle our marriage.
Yeah.
He's going to give it to me.
He sees everything I've done for him. This is my reward.
She gets her gift, and it is a string of jet. It is not fucking diamonds.
Right.
So she's like, did I imagine this? I'm going to go back to his room to look for these diamonds.
Yeah. Boy, does she find something in there now, don't she?
Yeah, she does.
At this point, I was like, oh, shit, because I did not see this coming at all. Lexx, you probably saw it from a mile away. I did not see it coming.
I was in the ballpark. I didn't get it right on the head.
Okay. She opens up this trunk, takes a jacket off the top, and underneath the jacket are a dozen containers of her pastels, as she calls them, that Henry has been gifting her for months now as her little treat. She opens them up and notices, interesting, there's no sugar powder on them. Huh, funny. And then next to it, she sees this bag, and it's like this lens starts to come into focus, and she realizes that the bag is from a chemist, and it is a bag full of fucking arsenic.
So she goes down to the library Google.
Right, the library Google.
Opens up a book and finds out that it's arsenic, and she has every side effect of long-term ingestion of arsenic.
Yeah.
The nausea, the vomiting, depression, delusion. Henry's fucking poisoning her!
For so long.
She couldn't remember how far back he started giving her these tins of pastels.
I actually didn't think it was poison. I thought it was a narcotic and that she had an addiction problem.
That's why she kept downing them.
Right.
That's what I thought, too.
So she's torn open raw by this information, has nobody to tell, nobody to talk to. Nobody would believe her if she even went to them saying, look, my husband's trying to kill me. There's just so little that she could really do to push back. And she ends up going to Carmilla, and Carmilla just kind of holds her. And I just loved her response. She says, poor, poor dead girl.
Yeah. Oof.
Oh my God.
Carmilla has been taking the tin of pastels away from her, saying, you're feeding the wrong hunger. At one point, she threw them out the window. She said, why do you eat those? They're disgusting. And she asked Carmilla, did you know? And Carmilla's like, I've been trying to tell you.
Why didn't you just tell me?
Yeah. At this point, she's just like, what the fuck? And they start getting into this argument and pushing at each other and fighting, and it gets a little bit violent. Then it gets a little bit more touchy. And I really feel like it's inappropriate to have our sexy stud read this for us.
No, he's getting kicked out of bed for this episode.
Yeah. There is no way that we can have a human of the male persuasion reading this moment for us. Let me read this to you.
Take it away.
She still wears her nightgown, and I tear at it until the fabric rips, and I can place my hand on the silk of her skin, feel the curve of her waist and the blade of her shoulder. She laughs against my mouth, and I am glad to please her. We find our way onto the bed. What do you want, Lenore? She whispers in my ear. And I show her. In the candlelight, I take my hand and show her how I touch myself. I am wet already, and it doesn't take much to make the pressure between my thighs build, so I pull her hand away. I do not want this to be over so quickly. I lead us back to our mouths, putting my tongue against the peak of her nipple, the hollow of her throat, and she does the same, nails digging into my back, teeth grazing over the sensitive skin of my breasts. She stops at my throat, biting and sucking a mark into the place where my shoulder meets my neck. The pain grows sharper, like the slice of a knife. She has broken through the skin and is lapping at the wound she has made. It frightens me, but I do not want her to stop. Every rule I have ever laid down for myself is gone, and it is exhilarating. There we go. Victorian smut, folks.
Excellent.
I love how it started angry and then just turned into passion. It's pretty much angry sex.
Totally. Obviously, we don't get a ton of smut in this book. I think considering the era that this was supposed to be in, this was exhilarating and shocking, and it definitely fed the desire that you had for them to have this kind of moment. She mentioned at one point that she really knew she should be quiet, but she wasn't.
Yes.
Because she didn't want to be. Oh my God, there's such a risk. I thought for sure that we were going to end up reading that, like somebody else in the house hearing moaning or whatever. Did anyone else catch this? Did Carmilla make her come by insertion of fingers and sucking blood from her leg?
So if I'm not mistaken, there were bite marks on the inner thigh.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hear anything about her moving the location of her mouth after that.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe it's kind of how sometimes in some vampire lore, it can be orgasmic for the bite. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
Some of the mystery in this book was a lot of things were inferred but never outlined.
Which is kind of fun because it lets your imagination just
Right.
go.
Yeah,
so the
for
two
sure.
pinpricks, the biting on the inner thigh. The word vampire is never once used in this book.
Yeah, I loved that about it because it just made it seem like a whole new genre.
Yeah.
Super fun. After Lenore comes, she starts immediately sobbing. And Carmilla hugs her from behind and says, "Oh, little Lenore, it is terrible to be alive, but it is worse to be dead to ourselves."
I have that highlighted too. I thought
Yeah.
that was phenomenal.
Wasn't that great?
Uh-huh.
So this book is broken into 2 parts, part 1, part 2. So that is essentially the conclusion of part 1. At this point, she has awoken to herself. She has committed the ultimate taboo, total all propriety gone. Everything that she's ever thought was right or wrong is totally shattered. Then we careen into part 2, where she is totally broken open and wild. And she wakes up the next morning and Carmilla's gone. There's not a speck that she was ever there.
I was actually shocked that Lenore seemed okay when that revelation hit her. I thought she would have been more upset over that.
Well, she did leave a note written in this loopy scrawl that she just knew it was Carmilla's handwriting. What did it say?
Darling, aren't you magnificent? You know now. Enjoy. I'll see you soon.
I like the "I'll see you soon" part. So Lenore knows, okay, maybe it's not forever, but she wakes up and now we're like, 48 hours out from the shoot?
Yep.
And she's just totally a hot fucking mess. She is having a full mental breakdown. She walks around the house and she goes on this absolute rant at one point. She is just seeing everything with a new vision. And she's like, I am in a house full of adults and not a single thing would get done if I did not urge it into being. And just basically like everybody is stupid and I don't want to do any of this, so I won't. She just goes completely off the fucking deep end to the extent that she's getting ready for dinner. She's putting on her clothes and then she says, I don't want to wear these clothes. And she lets them all fall down. And I loved the description. Like she dropped one of her petticoats like a curtain in a theater falling to the ground. She goes down to this formal Victorian-style dinner in a nightgown and a robe.
The first thing Cora says to her, are you feeling unwell?
Cora and Henry are like, holy shit, what is going on with this woman?
Yep.
She's going off the fucking deep end. She ends up throwing food at Henry across the table. It is, for Victorian times, absolutely wild.
She's batshit crazy at the moment. She's chewing and then opening her mouth to show the masticated food on her tongue.
Right.
I mean, she's just unhinged.
Totally unhinged. Yes. She is having a full mental breakdown.
Yeah.
To the extent that Henry ends up locking her in her room and calling a doctor to come.
I think it's partially she's having a breakdown and partially she's just seeing how far she can push them.
Absolutely.
It's like a teenager. You know how they push the boundaries?
Right.
She never had that opportunity.
That's true.
So
That's
she's
true.
doing it.
She's locked in her room, and then we have some creepy shit happening. Even though she's hours out of dinner, she is hungry.
Yes.
Starts to eat her fucking shoe, the wallpaper,
yeah.
her sheets. You're saying to yourself, are you mentally unwell? This is the point in the book where I'm like, have I missed the signs that Lenore has been unstable the entire time? Unsure.
Yeah.
Don't know what's happening right now.
It's supposed to be ambiguous. I think the whole thing there is there a supernatural thing here or is it all in her fucking head?
Yeah.
Right.
She had to pull one over on the doctor. So she got all dressed up.
So she says, I got dressed for war.
So good. And the doctor came and she's like, yeah, I was unwell for a moment. I'm so embarrassed.
The demands of this state and being the lady.
Oh.
I mean, so overwhelming.
I'm so sorry I embarrassed my husband. He has so much on his plate. He shouldn't have to worry about me. And plays right into the doctor's. Oh, he's like, you're just a woman. It's okay. We understand these things happen to you. She talks her way out of that one.
She ends up having this complete moment where she's like, no, you know what? I am going to meet Henry where he's at, and I am going to get my shit together, and I'm going to pretend that everything is normal and make him think that I'm playing his little game. Everything is going to go so splendidly, and I am going to fuck him up.
Yeah.
So bad. And I love how she's starting to get clever.
Yeah.
And she's starting to come up with this plan, which was guided by Carmilla before Carmilla left, telling her, you need to get back at him, but you should not be putting yourself in danger to do so. At one point, for her mental health, Cora recommends, let's go on a picnic, like rustics. They pack these little picnic baskets full of art supplies and food for them and have a charming little outing.
Did you see where they went and had their charming little outing, by the way, to go and do watercolors?
Where?
Derwent.
No, I missed that.
Do you know who one of the major manufacturers of watercolors is?
No.
Yes.
That's a great reference. I love that.
I saw it and I was like, no, I have the name wrong. I have to have the name wrong. No.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, but what percentage of the actual population that has read the book knows that correlation?
I don't know, but I feel like she put it in there just for
the nugget. Yeah.
Thanks, Kat. I got it.
Of course, Lenore is very antsy the entire time. She's not happy to be there. They picnic and Cora is doing her beautiful watercolors.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Cora stands up and Lenore looks and she sees the diamond necklace.
Peek out from beneath the collar, yeah.
And Lenore is like, where did you get that necklace? And all of a sudden, Cora gets a little weird and she's like, oh, my mother gave it to me. And Lenore's like, but you show off every bauble and trinket that you have. Why have you never told me about this? So Lenore starts to approach her and get closer and trying to put her hand on the necklace to get a better look to verify it's the same necklace that she saw in Henry's room. As Lenore is asking her about the necklace, she says, you've been sleeping with Henry. It wasn't a question.
Yeah.
It was a statement of fact. This is not the first time Lenore has asked Cora about sleeping with Henry.
Mm-hmm. Cora say something about, no, Henry gave me this as payment for helping him because of all the troubles that are happening with the factories. And Cora's dad is a minister at the Home Office, so it was like a bribery thing.
At this point, Lenore says to Cora, you lied to me. You're sleeping with him. I believed you.
She doesn't even give her the chance to respond this time.
And as that's happening, Cora is backing up closer and closer to the edge of the cliff. And at one point, Cora almost starts to go over. Lenore grabs her. And then after a couple of seconds of getting tired of that, Lenore lets her go. Cora falls off the side of the cliff.
To her death.
Dun, 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 dun. I don't miss her. It's fine.
But this is where I was like, wait a minute. I thought we were going to be clever about how we did this. And yes, there is much ambiguity with this scenario. So yeah, she gets away with it. So she didn't put herself in harm's way necessarily, but I just thought she was going to be more clever in the way that she dismantled the whole situation.
But this wasn't planned. This was opportunity. And I think that's why at that point she made the decision to let go. I think rather quickly, irrationally, that this is it.
So, Joey, as Carmilla would say, did you think they're fucking?
I have absolutely no fucking clue. I waffled throughout the book going, Cora and Henry are sleeping together. Maybe they're sleeping together? Are they sleeping together? I'm not really sure if they're sleeping together. I don't know if they're fucking.
I ended it with that moment where she described the look in her eyes as she let go. I was like, oh my God, she's not fucking him. I made that final judgment at that moment. I was like, oh my God, this is a big mistake. She's not fucking him.
I don't think she physically fucked him. I think they did have plans.
Cora was going to be the replacement wife once Lenore was gone.
So I think Cora actually thought that Lenore was ill and that she was getting herself prepped and ready to be the next Mrs. Henry. I think he wanted her as his wife because she would fit in well. He would still get all the prestige. He's upgrading, basically.
Right.
Both in standing in society and a younger wife so he could have the son that he craved.
And another in with the steel industry.
Correct. I think he was romancing her and she was young and dumb. And her poor friend was dying. It just happened that they fell in love along the way.
Right.
You know, and he was probably feeding her thing of, I have to be with her in her last days. It's appropriate. But we could be together once this is over.
Right.
We just have to hold in there.
I liked the way that it was ambiguous. It makes you think. At this point, Cora is dead, and I think we just need to leave it there. People need to know that this is a book about rage and revenge, but I don't want to spoil the full ending for you.
You want to know what happens at the shooting party.
Yeah.
You want to know, does Carmilla come back?
What happens with them and their, quote, romance?
There's a lot of the book left and a lot of components that we never even mentioned. Henry's a crappy dude.
Oh, yeah, he's a shitbag. A lot of blood money on his hands.
But Birdie, I'm so very thirsty.
Nice. As I was thinking about what cocktail we should be drinking today, I really wanted something fun and to make it feel like we were drinking blood. We've drank a lot of cherry things recently. So I started thinking about what else had this nice, rich, deep red color. And so we are drinking pomegranate martinis today, folks.
I just have to say thank you for making up for the dirty martini in the last episode. Because this one was easier for my delicate palate to take.
Good. I'm so glad.
It's very good. It's delicious.
It's so very tasty.
I actually think this is going to be a regular in my summer rotation. It's nice and fresh, and you could swap out tequila and turn it into a pomegranate margarita. You could swap out bourbon and turn it into a sidecar. I just never really thought of putting pomegranate juice into a drink.
It was delish.
It's fucking great.
For the recipe for this one, head over to the lustylibrarypodcast.com and go to the drinks section. We'll have the recipe there for you.
Hey, is it that time?
I think it is that time.
Since you've made me wake up from my nap, it is definitely that time.
Dun, 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 dun. It's time for
Dishing with the Dames.
Okay, so this is going to be a pretty in-depth question. And again, remember, you still have a veto option. If you choose to not answer this, I'm being polite and kind because I want to know, just like this book is our first sapphic romance, have any of you had sex with a woman or thought about having sex with a woman?
Not have. I have dabbled in other things in my younger years, but not actually, gone that far.
As part of, sexual exploration and figuring
Never
things out.
that far.
define sex.
I think sex is a very odd term because it can mean a variety of things to a variety of different people.
Correct.
So oral sex, stimulating with the hands could mean sex to someone. So it really is, let's say, in terms of if we were 14-year-olds and we're thinking about the game of baseball, let's say it's going to third base. I'd probably say third base.
Hand
is
in the
good enough.
pants.
Hand in the pants. Yeah. That to me is some sort of level of extra intimacy that you generally wouldn't have above feeling and touching.
Yes, had sex with a woman. I mean, in general, we tend to not talk about our sexuality on the podcast just because, we're talking about books, but I also don't mind talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm openly pan, so not a big deal. I tend to gravitate more towards men. Most of the time I have to really be really, really, really into a woman. It's not usually a one-night stand kind of thing. That also tends to be how I feel about men too. Just in general, people. Connection's always been big for me.
I think at this point in my life, it would have to be a right place, right time, right person kind of situation. I'm not opposed to it happening.
But it's not something that you're scheduling out or...
No. Although
Do you schedule your sex out? Jeez.
I think my husband would probably be very on board with it.
Yeah. I will say my 20s was a lot of fun. I was using it as my time of sexual exploration. And I will say I have been in a threesome before. I was not in the relationship. Because if I was in the relationship, it would have been really hard for me based on some of the answers that I've told you. I was the third person out, which was really great because the person in the relationship had a very tough time after the situation happened. Have I messed around as part of my younger years learning what I like with women? Absolutely. But it hasn't just been a situation where it's been myself and a woman one-on-one, more than exploring and touching. And even though it was hands in the pants, it wasn't to the level of oral or anything like that until I got into the threesome situation. I think attraction, just like it was outlined in the last book, is a very heady thing. I think you can have connections with multiple different people. Sometimes that connection turns sexual, and other times it's just a deep love and friendship and kinship and understanding. I think the attraction component of it can spark at a time where you're kind of like, I didn't see that coming. But there's something about this person's physical attributes, about this person's personality that really just clicks with me and more than a friendship dynamic. So again, that person could come up to me and I could have amazing chemistry and I'd be open to give it a try. Again, I usually don't knock it until I try it, as long as it's not on the hard no list. And I do have a chunk of hard no's. But this one is not it.
Yeah.
So thank you both for being very candid, because I think this is a very sensitive, delicate question. But I also think generationally where we are, it's more acceptable for people to be okay with that.
Yeah. I'm hoping we're getting to a point, especially with the newer generations coming up behind us, that it's not a sensitive question.
Yeah.
Why should it be?
Yeah.
and just having it be a part of normal everyday talk. We're still very much in a puritanical society where it's hard for people of a certain age to talk about it.
Which is crazy because sex has so many different facets. A, it's fucking fun and can be great and enjoyable. It can be bringing you to a different level with a partner and connection. It can be romantic. It can be dirty. It's like I think people forget. Consent to what you're doing and be safe about it.
Exactly.
Right. And that's, half the point of this podcast is to just get people talking and get all of this shit normalized.
Because I know we're talking about romance books, but a big component of that is the spice. And that we are women who are okay to talk about that. And that it turns us on to read about this stuff in books.
I'm just hopeful that anybody who listens to this is just inspired to be similarly open with themselves and also just kind and give people around them the grace to have whatever opinions they want to have.
I think that's so well put. Lovely.
And if your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your network will not have these conversations with you, we're an open door here. Come on down. We'll chat with you about anything.
Yeah.
Unless you start to get into like foot porn, that's kind of my hard no there. You'll have to talk to Birdie about that one.
It's not my thing, but I'm happy to be a part of making somebody else's day.
You'll do all the research for that?
I have feet, you know?
You'll be a foot model.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Retirement career.
Yeah, there we
All right. Let's put some numbers on this. Let's wrap it up here. Okay, everybody. Let's talk about the romance. You can give this book anywhere from 1 to 5 roses. Lexx. How many roses are you giving this book?
1. There's just not a lot of love there. I don't think that's the direction that this was going in. Henry and Lenore don't love each other. I don't think Carmilla and Lenore love each other. You pointed out earlier it was passion. So romance? It's not terribly romantic. So 1 rose.
I'm a little bit higher rated 2, but for all the reasons Lexx said, this was not romance. This was lust, passion, and an awakening. There was no holding hands. There was no courting. There was none of that. This was fast train to giving you an orgasm and having you want me and feel that for the first time in your life.
Yeah.
Going with the 2.
I'm also landing at a 1. I actually just don't even know if I would call this a romance.
No, I'd call it a gothic thriller.
Yeah, I think that's what we would call it. So that's what's so fascinating to me is that I think a lot of people define romance in different ways. And the fact that this is called a romance in all the places that I looked for it after I finished reading the book to be like, are people calling this a romance? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
So read it, everybody, and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Is it a romance? All right, let's talk about the smut. Joey, you can give this book anywhere from 1 to 5 raindrops.
Again, coming in with the 2. There was not a lot of smut in there. There was a good amount of lust that I think is what gave it the 2nd raindrop. Was I open for there to be more? Yes. But I'm not sure it actually would have fit in the storyline anywhere. So I'm always trying to figure out where could smut be inserted to be brought to that next level.
Right.
Maybe a little bit of kissing earlier. I mean, there was a little playfulness with the licking of the honey when Carmilla put her finger in Lenore's mouth
Yes.
and had her lick off the honey. So if you're looking for smut, turn around. Look for another book.
Yeah.
This sure ain't it.
Yeah.
2.
Well, if this was 1890, I would give this like 7 raindrops. Throw it
so true.
over. It would be so steamy in 1890.
Right.
It would probably be banned.
Yep.
It would be hidden on the bookshelf behind another cover. And I think that's what Kat was going for because of the framing of the book. However, we are in 2025, and this was just not very smutty, which is okay. But I am putting it at a 2. I'm raising it just a little higher only because it is sapphic. And for some of our listeners, that will be pushing past their comfort zone.
I was torn on whether to give this a 1 or a 2. I think I'm going to land at a 2 as my final answer for the same reason that you're sitting at, Lexx. It was new for me. I've never read a sapphic novel before. Was I truly disappointed that there wasn't more smut because I wanted to deeply understand the dynamic and, I wanted to read a whole chapter of smut. What was written there was perfect for the time that it was supposed to be set in. Very wild. She's loud and raunchy and putting their hands on each other's mouths and scratching. It was very kinky for the time. So we're just going to have to find more sapphic novels that have more smut in them. Let's talk about the story. You can give this anywhere from 1 to 5 storybooks. Lexx, what do you think?
Okay, so for story, I'm going up at a 4. The type of story that was written was engaging. I was trying to figure out the mystery of it, where it was weaving. Because some things are just alluded to, it was letting my imagination run, which I enjoy. Only reason why I didn't bop it up to a 5 is sometimes I felt like there was a little bit of poking, hee, I'm being smart right here. I'm being smart right there, and making a joke within the framing. Earlier in the storyline, Horace says something about the house and is it's very Bronte. And then she's like, do you have a mad woman in the attic? And I'm like, ha, ha, ha. Yes, okay.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Lost on me.
Huh.
That's the only reason why I kind of brought it down just a little bit.
Interesting. Sure.
I felt it was a little self-aware, and I just would have liked it if she had gone fully in.
Yeah, interesting. What do you think, Joey? I'm intrigued.
I came for the story on this, and it landed me at a 4.5. I thought it was beautifully done, and to take someone who does not like historical romance and bring me in and captivate me, it says a lot about the way this book was written and the story that was being told. I came for the story, my friends. So just because the meat was good, maybe the condiments weren't so great, but 4.5 out of me.
I'm landing at 4.75. I loved the writing style of this book. I loved the research that went into it. I thought the storyline was fun and interesting. She kept it moving much more quickly than many other books of this genre. I feel like typically historical fiction can be very slow. This felt very fast to me. The atmosphere was incredible. The only reason I'm not rating it a 5 is because I didn't love the ending. I wanted it to be a little bit more of a clever ending. It was sort of, but I don't know. It didn't leave me feeling yes, as much as I had thought it would.
I contradict your statement 100%.
Okay.
And I land probably in the middle because I'm like, oh, I actually really liked it.
Okay. So there's plenty to talk about with the parts that we haven't talked about in this book, let me tell you. It's an interesting ending, but 4.75.
Give it that extra quarter.
It deserves that extra quarter for all of the shrimp with an oily plug on top. All the research on the food. Oh my God, so fascinating. Anyhow. All right, overall, you can give this book anywhere from 1 to 5 eggplants. Joey, what'd you think overall?
So this was an interesting score for me. We know it wasn't high on romance. We know it wasn't high on smut. You came for the damn amazing, compelling story. And that held the whole thing. When I usually do overall, you think of all the components of it. Am I okay with not reading a super smutty book? Yeah. I am actually reading romance. I would have liked it to be a little bit more romantic in that sense. So that brought the score a little bit down for me. So I think overall, this is getting a solid 3.5. I'm going to read more Kat Dunn. I love the way she writes. I love the author notes after. It was a really eye-opening experience to hear about the research that she did. She took me from a subgenre that I really don't like and had me captivated the whole time. So that speaks volume to the storytelling and the writing. So really solid 3.5 out of me.
That's surprising.
Higher than you would have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly because I know your distaste for historical fiction.
You know what it is for me? It's a lack of connection.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's beautiful to watch. I love hearing about a different time period.
Yeah.
It falls flat on my end for some reason. I never knew why.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to give this a solid 4, which I know is funny if you look at my smut and romance rating, but the overall is just about how did the book hit me?
Yeah.
And like, I want other people to read this book. I think it's a really interesting read. You might feel like you're in English class just a little bit. There might be some words you gotta Google, because I did. It's so nice on the Kindle. You just press the word and it looks it up for you. It's lovely.
Yeah,
Love
that
that
is nice.
function.
Yeah.
But it's so well crafted. I feel like I can just recommend this to so many different people that I know. And wanting to share a book like that tells me that, like, yeah, I got to rate this a little higher. And the fact that you're so impressed, Joey, originally my score was like a 3.75, but I actually bumped it up because she engaged you. And I'm like, that right there, that shows that is a great book with great writing. And when you get somebody out of their comfort zone for reading, it's like, yeah, you did it. Good job. So 4.
Yeah. This book was made for me.
Yes.
Mhm.
3 sentences in, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Birdie all the way.
Yeah. I am obsessed with the production value of the cover. The production of the audio was incredible. The accent of the narrator, the different voices she did a splendiferous job. I really enjoyed the writing. I really enjoyed a whole lot of it. So this is getting a 4.75. And that's only just because, I don't know what I wanted the ending to be, but I just wanted something else.
You're still hungry. You know, it's funny because I was going to say where you're like, I just wanted something else at the end of the book. And I have this wonderful quote highlighted. Disappointment tells us what we truly wanted. And to want is to be alive. I love it.
Yeah. Listeners, I messaged Joey and Lexx 5 minutes into the audiobook and I was like, oh my God, this might be a 5.5555 book for me. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with it.
You said TBD on the romance and smut.
Yeah.
But everything else is coming in at a 5.
This is very, very close to a 5. I just adore it. I want to see a movie of it.
And what I find interesting is we have a list of over 100 books. This list constantly gets updated based on new releases. Listeners make recommendations, personal friends we have that are in the realm. Sometimes we meet them on the train and you see that they're reading a book and they make a recommendation to you. So it's constantly ever moving. This was released spring of 2025. So this is a bit of a newer book. And I think the word sapphic, which is outside your wheelhouse that you've never experienced, plus your love of vampire, drew you to this book. And then you saw the cover and you were in. So
yeah,
it's weird that you picked a book off the most random components and you fell in love with it. I don't understand how that works, but it does for you.
Yep, that's what works. All right, everybody. If you haven't done so already, please go check out our little Patreon. Drop us a coin if you would. That would be so lovely. Help support our little venture. That would be so lovely. And go ahead and follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook.
Whatever device you're listening to us on and whatever podcast platform, because we're pretty much everywhere, make sure you click on that follow button because you don't want to miss a minute of me snoring and taking a nap while Birdie talks about architectural things and book covers. And then Lexx just laughs in the corner. So follow us. You know what? Not just one. Follow us on all of them at the same time.
Yes, please get all the notifications on your phone every fucking Tuesday from us. If you don't feel like getting all those notifications, go ahead and join our mailing list. Go on over to the lustylibrarypodcast.com, scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll get our drink recipe and our episode announcement all in one place.
And you know what? I like sparklies. I like goodies. And I like them in the form of stars. So please, go give us a review. Whatever platform you're listening on, give us all those stars. I like the shiny, shiny. And the sweet, sweet words. Put them in the little box so that I can read them at night.
if you're looking for a highbrow gothic romance, well, I fucking sure as hell didn't pick one for my next book. But if you want some manly man meat who can swing himself an axe, make sure you read Mountain Boss by S.J. Tilley for my next episode. Guess what? I've already read it. Do not miss this one.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
The two of you are going to fucking hate it, and I'm going to love the shit out of it.
Oh God, I can't wait. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.